I was a naturally argumentative child, I think is probably the polite way to put it. And people had always said to me, you know, maybe you might be a good lawyer, you might be a good lawyer. And I never really thought too much about it. Because I always sort of thought Rumpole at the Bailey kind of was what a lawyer looked like to me at that stage. And I guess it was seeing someone like Ally McBeal on television. She was a young woman who was complicated and relatable for me, and she was working in what seemed like a very interesting and exciting area, and you know, they would do complex intellectual problems in the daytime and then go down to the karaoke bar at night, and it just all seemed very cool to me growing up in Ireland. Didn't go to Oxbridge, non-Red Brick University. And for me, it was taking that opportunity and going, okay, well, I'm here now, so what can I do? So I was president of the Law Society. I set up the Pro Bono Foundation. And that for me has always been it. No matter what pond you're in, think about what the pond looks like and how you make the pond better, not just for yourself, but for everybody. And then it's genuinely, you know, if you do that and you do it wholeheartedly and with drive and ambition and focus as to what you actually want, you know, it will deliver results. It was complicated, it was interesting, but it also had that slightly, you know, the white-collar crime was so new and it was so interesting. It was a very male-dominated area of the law at that stage as well, and it was fascinating. So I qualified into that team that dealt specifically with financial crime, fraud, and sort of, you know, investigations into those areas. So I've been very lucky over the course of my career because I've worked on some of the really big-ticket things. So I look back and I'm like, well, I've worked on the Madoff investigation, I've worked on the BAE investigation, I've worked on LIBOR, I've worked on FX, I've worked on phone hacking, and now I'm working on some of the most exciting things that are happening around cybercrime and data privacy. It's that marriage of incredibly interesting technical legal issues, fascinating political background that is, you know, changes, and you see what you're doing on the front page of the newspapers, and that makes you quite proud. You look at it and you go, I did that, and it's quite a nice feeling. I have had a really varied career to date and usually focused on financial crime, but actually in the last year I've moved towards doing data privacy, and the reason for that is all of the investigative experience that I garnered through doing financial crime and financial services and other investigations naturally translates into this new contentious data privacy environment. They are things that have happened to me probably uniquely because I'm a female. Like for instance, I remember coming back from maternity leave, and I remember there was a project being discussed that would involve international travel, and there was an automatic assumption that I wouldn't want to go. And I remember going into the managing partner's office and sitting down, and I said, this may be coming from a place of kindness, but do you realise that you just ruled me out of a really interesting job because I've just come back from maternity leave because you think I won't want to spend time away from my baby? And the guy in question was a little bit taken aback because I think it was coming from a genuine place of kindness and concern, and he thought, oh gosh, you know, she's, you know, a new mother, we don't want to put any undue pressure on her coming back to work, all of those things. But ultimately, had I not done that job, I would have been really missing out on some incredible experience, which involved going to America, which involved meeting with the Department of Justice and the FBI, and really fantastic stuff that I could have been counted out for just because someone was trying to be kind because they've made assumptions about what I wanted from my career. It's no good to just sit around and have a good chat about it. You need to do something with it. So I chair a networking group for women in the city that was called Fractio Vitri, Latin for breaking the glass ceiling. And, you know, the purpose of that networking group is for women in the first 10 years of their career. There's lots being done around senior women, how we help senior women to progress their next stages in their career, how we make senior women get onto boards, be the head of firms, things along those lines. But if women leave the profession before they even get a chance to be considered, we lose out. I'm a single parent, so I have 2 daughters as well. So for me, role modelling happens at home too. And it's that thing of being open about the challenges that brings, the challenges and opportunities. You know, I'm so incredibly fortunate. I adore my children, but I love my job as well. And I love those 2 things. And, you know, when people talk for me about work-life balance, I find it incredibly unhelpful because it's all life. And when we start seeing it all as life, rather than, and sometimes one thing's going to win, and sometimes something else is going to win, but it's all life. I remember being on a very important conference call. There's probably about 12 people on the call. My daughter was, happily sitting next to me because it was 6 o'clock in the evening. I'd rushed home because I wanted to see her before bedtime and do stories and everything else. And so my eldest daughter was sitting, angelically making a necklace with beads. Next thing you know, she turns around and goes, "Mummy, I've stuck a bead up my nose." And I go, "Shh, shh, shh," as I'm on a conference call. To go, "I can't get it out." And so I had to go, "I'm sorry, I think I have to go to emergency room. My daughter stuck a bead up her nose." Recognition does give you confidence and self-confidence, and it makes you aware of the fact that you may be a role model to other people and what that means. The other thing that it does is, as part of this, being part of this project and being part of this huge, rich tapestry of history of women in the law, you read these exceptional stories and you think, well, I'm a part of that now. I have a contribution to make, and my contribution matters. And how can I help other people to make their contribution matter too?